The expressed and the opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Star 927, its affiliates, or sponsors. Live from the 927 studios in the Southern Famous capital, Georgetown, this is Straight Talk. Let's get to the point. And good afternoon and welcome to Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show. Catherine Tyson, your host. Good afternoon and welcome to the Straight Talk Hot Topics show. This is Tuesday Hot Topics. I will be riding solo. So I invite your calls, 943-3700. You must call and, just tell me what's on your mind this afternoon. That would be great. In the meantime, of course, I have some good stuff for you. I always have to do my little research in the event that I'm sitting here on my own so that I can bring to you because you're driving along and you want to hear some good stuff. Thank you all so much. Those of you who tell me that you listen and you love the show, thank you. To the young lady, I saw you at Miss Cayman Islands Universe. You are going to be a guest. You know that. You know who you are. You said you enjoy the show. You listen to it all the time, Miss Catherine. So you will be on that soon. I will let you guys know when she's here who it was. But thank you once again for joining me this afternoon. Excited. Just want to share some stuff with you guys. It is Hot Topics Tuesday. All right. So what's the first thing? Masks are now required. All right. I think you guys know that almost everywhere we're going now, there are masks required. So walk with them in your purse, ladies, or in the car, or gentlemen in your pocket, because you're not going to be able to get in if you don't have on a mask. Okay. So masks are now required when visiting work. I would say anywhere at Foster's, the grocery stores, but anywhere that you're going these days, masks are required. Okay, so just letting you know that. A couple of things coming up on from the community. Okay, we got on the 26th of September, there's a 5K walk run for recovery, Hope for Today Foundation. It's on the 26th of September 2021. It's starting at 7 Mile Public Beach. I know a lot of people like to, get into some exercise and stuff. These are good opportunities. So it's going to be starting at 7 Mile Public Beach. The walk is at 6 a.m. and the run starts at 6:15. The tickets are $10, which is, really, really good and good for a great cause. And the prizes are a staycation at the Holiday Inn, staycation at the Westin, dinner for two at the Lobster Pot, plus many other prizes. You can contact Brent at 928-9099 or Chris 326-6783. I know that went very fast for you. Brent 928-9099 or Chris 326-6783, and that's www.caymanhopefoundation.com. caymanhopefoundation.com. Check that out. And all the proceeds will benefit the Halfway House program. So there you go, 5K walk run for recovery. If you want to be a part of, something great, something good, and it's going to be healthy for you, I'd sign up. Tickets are $10. First 100 people to turn up get a free t-shirt. There you go. So, there's that. All right, there's another one, Walk for the Cure. That's going to be Sunday, October the 21st. That one was September the 26th. This one is October the 3rd. And that's Walk for the Cure. And it's 100% of the proceeds will benefit the Cayman Islands Cancer Society. So if you want to, just help out and be a part of some of these organizations that really help the communities, these are some good ways to do it. Good ways to meet people, good ways to, get a little exercise in, network a little bit, t-shirts and 10th anniversary giveaways. So the grouping starts at 6, start time is at 6:30. It is a 5K walk. Again, 5K walker run from Public Beach. Registration fees are adults $25, children under 12 are $10. Walkers, runners, limited to first 1,000 registrations. So you might actually not be able to register if you don't hurry up, because it's going to be limited to the first 1,000 registrations. Deadline to register will be Friday, the 1st of October at 3 o'clock p.m. And the walk is actually going to be on Sunday, the 3rd of October. So you have until the 1st, but go ahead and get in there quick. Register at any of the First Caribbean International Bank. I was going to talk about CIBC. First International Bank, that's First Caribbean International Bank. And that's email maggie.garnett at cibcfcib.com, or look for registration tables at Foster's, Kirk's, Hurley's, and A.L. Thompson during the month of September on some days and times. Okay, donations will also be accepted. So if you didn't want to necessarily do the run, but you wanted to donate some funds to this very, very worthy cause, cancer, the Cayman Islands Cancer Society, who actually supplement and help a lot of families in Cayman that have have had the experience with cancer or cancer in their with their family members. All right, so there will be refreshments and prize giveaways at Public Beach before the walk or after the walk. Listen, these are really, really great opportunities. I'm telling you, if some of you are out there like, I can't meet anybody, and I'm just like, I don't have a social life, and I don't know where to go and what to do. These are some of the things that you can do to meet people, to and actually meet people that are probably doing the same kinds of things that you do. Not necessarily you want to go out and meet people at a club or whatever, but these are really great opportunities. So networking, you might actually see people from other companies, and you're able to talk with them about other interests that you might have. Listen, I always talk about that. I always say that Caymanian people, we are very good about staying with ourselves. It's my friends. I don't know him. I don't feel comfortable. I don't know what to say. Listen, listen. You don't need to know what to say. Hi, how are you? What a nice day. Beautiful weather. Wow, where do you work? Oh, that's nice. What do you do there? That's it. Okay, that's what you do. You meet HR people. You never know. These are just opportunities, and then you're giving back to good causes. Isn't that like a win-win for everybody? And you got a chance to walk or run, and got some nice, healthy stuff into your body. And that's what we need these days, because we are in this pandemic still, and riding through the storm here. So getting well, staying well, taking care of yourself, keeping that immune system strong, that's where it's at. Okay, so there you go. That was that. Now, another thing, I'm going to give you some information on some community events. Ongoing National Gallery exhibition, Wonders of Clay, Perfectly Imperfect. It's ongoing until the 14th of October. And you can visit Virginia or Auntie V Foster's solo exhibition now on at the National Gallery. The exhibition showcases a collection of contemporary ceramic art, with each piece detailed to the perfectly imperfect woman who have enriched the artist's life for several decades. The National Gallery is open at 10 to 5 from Monday to Saturday. Listen, these are always beautiful, beautiful exhibits. And if you have not gone to the National Gallery, put that on your list for sure. And if you have, then you know what I'm talking about. Grab somebody and go with them. Go with a young person. Pick up your child after school. Maybe take your lunch late in the afternoon if you can. Pick up your child from school. Take them to the National Gallery. Put these things on your list. They're awesome, and we're supporting our local artists. That they're incredible, and just those displays are something else. So that one is the Wonders of Clay, and it sounds quite interesting. I'm going to put that on my list. I always say that. I always try to get out to some of these exhibitions for sure, or take groups of children, young people there, and just get into the arts, right? Okay, let's see. World Cleanup Day, September 18th. What's today? Oh, that's gone. All right, there we go. So hopefully you did that. Lions Club of Cayman Breast Cancer Walk or Run, that is going to be September the 25th. The Lions Club of Cayman Breast Cancer Walk Run will be happening on the 25th. Email BRACLions, BRACLIONS @gmail.com for more information. BRACLions@gmail.com for more information. I know sometimes the people in the BRAC are listening to the show as well, and if you happen to be going over there this weekend, that could be a thing for you to do. All right, Youth Leadership Day. What is your why? September 25th, that's in Cayman. All students age 14 to 18 are invited to join the first Youth Leadership Day hosted by the Kiwanis Club of Grand Cayman and presented by Michael Miles of Inspire Cayman Training, Registration is from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and breakfast, lunch, and dinner will be served. For further information, call 916-6404 or email yday@keyclub.ky or visit www.youthday.fun. I'm going to say that one more time for parents that would like their children to be involved with this. If your child is 14 to 18, they might be interested in joining the first Youth Leadership Day. I would send them. I definitely would if I were you. I mean, let them go do something productive, learn leadership things. It's amazing, and they're going to have lunch, dinner, and breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the number again 916-6404, or the email is yday@keyclub.ky, or the website www.youthday.fun. All right, sounds good. All right. Paint Cayman Red event, 25th and 26th. The Cayman Islands Red Cross celebrates their 60th anniversary with a series of red events, activities, and initiatives. Dive Tech joins the celebration and invites the public to come to 571 Northwest Point Road, West Bay, and offering special rates for diving and training activities with 10% proceeds being donated to the Red Cross. If you're interested, contact Dive Tech at 946-5658. All right, is it Dive Tech or Divi Tech? Oh, anyway, 946-5658 or info@divetech.com. All right, there you go. So these are some community events that I think are, I just want to let you know. I always, Caymanians are always saying, I don't know what, there's nothing going on. There's lots going on. Go and pick up the newspaper. They need to have like some website, some database, things happening in Cayman. I think that would be awesome, right? Okay. All right. So there you go. Hot Topics Tuesday. What are we talking about this here Tuesday? Well, I got a lot on my mind, a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to be talking about that. All right. So tourism leaders are condemning the opening, right? The delay in reopening. So tourism, they're kind of upset about that. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Tourism business leaders, they've condemned the government's decision to delay the reopening of the border, claiming it is not based on scientific evidence and threatens the livelihoods of thousands of Caymanians. The Cayman Islands Tourism Association released a statement Wednesday expressing dismay at the indefinite pause in the reopening plan and continued closure of the borders, recommends measures such as vaccine mandates. How do you feel about that? Give me a call if you got an opinion on that. It recommends certain things: rapid testing, contact tracing, which it claims would be more effective and sustainable means of controlling the threat of the coronavirus. CETA argues that COVID-19 is already in the community and that Cayman, like the rest of the world, must learn to live with it and manage the risks. Government earlier had indicated it planned to remove quarantine requirements for securely verified vaccinated travelers from 14th of October, facilitating the return of commercial flights and some tourism. Faced with the re-emergence of local transmission of COVID-19, Premier Wayne Panton announced Tuesday that step would be delayed for the rest of this year. In response to that news, CETA, which represents hundreds of businesses in the tourism sector, said, this decision clearly demonstrates a complete disregard for the livelihoods of thousands of Caymanians, prolongs the agony of so many in our community, and steals hope for the future. So it's getting pretty serious, right? With two sides of viewing. Should we remain in the bubble, or is the bubble just a little unrealistic at this point? COVID is not going away. CETA is arguing and is basically saying, hey, what's going on? Now, there's been a couple of editorials that I was seeing in the newspapers there. There's the Caymanian Times. In time, Cayman must move on. The people of the Cayman Islands have a long history of resilience, bravery, and tenacity, and it is to these qualities that the nation must once again turn in the face of COVID-19. The cold, hard fact is that this awful virus is the world over, and while we commend our governments, both old and new, for keeping the virus at bay and away from the Cayman Islands, it is inevitable that it will arrive on these shores and among our community. For that reason, we believe that Cayman needs to get back to work and move on because the virus is not going away anytime soon. The Cayman Islands does not have the means to keep our tourism workers paid on stipend forever, and people simply have to get back to work. One only has to cast one's mind to back to 12 years to September 2009, when the Cayman Islands was forced to get approval from the UK government to obtain loans to help this country manage its debts due to the economic crash of 2008-2009. I'm taking you guys back, obviously, with this editorial, but it's very interesting. We cannot let ourselves get back to that unfortunate state of affairs. Cayman is not and never has been a welfare state. We do not pay taxes, which means the government only has limited sources of funding, and they are certainly not in a position to subsidize unemployed workers indefinitely. It is time, Cayman, to do what is best for the country, and that is to allow our borders to be open and get the country financially back on its feet. How do you feel about that? If you have any thoughts, 943-3700. Would love to hear from you. This means we have to get vaccinated, wear masks, sanitize our hands, keep our distance from people, and form social bubbles with people we see on a regular basis. It is inevitable that people will get COVID-19. Yes, even children. I'm reading an editorial from the Caymanian Times, by the way. I don't want anybody to think now that's Catherine out there wrote that. Nope. Okay, you can pick up the Caymanian Times and see it yourself. But all the studies show that children do not in general fare badly, even if they do catch the virus. It is the elderly and the clinically vulnerable who must take care. But if they've been vaccinated, even they should not suffer as much if they are as if they are unvaccinated. In a recent press briefing, the governor pointed out that in the UK, they have, in the main, managed to break the link between catching COVID and death, thanks to a high uptake of the vaccine. As a result, they largely go about their day as usual. I can say that probably the rest of the world is doing that as well. This is the way forward. We must get our economy going again. We just cannot afford to stand still. This is not about putting the economy above people's lives. This is facing the cold, hard reality that Cayman has no other option. If the economy breaks, we all go under. We cannot allow that to happen. That was the editorial from the Caymanian Times, and kind of in agreement with CETA for sure. The Cayman Islands Tourism Association saying, listen, that this non-opening is something else. Another editorial that I saw in the Caymanian Compass, that was the Caymanian Times, this is the Caymanian Compass. We've heard the phrase, guided by the science, over and over during the past 18 months, which is why government's decision to pause Cayman's border reopening plan makes little sense. As you can see, both editorials at this point are saying what's happening. It's a decision we believe was based on fear rather than logic, one that will have dire consequences for all of Cayman. Premier Wayne Panton on 14th of September announced government's decision to keep Cayman's borders tightly restricted following a spate of locally transmitted COVID-19 cases in one breath. The public heard that this is the new normal and that locally transmitted cases will be a daily occurrence that we must come to grips with when visitors return to our islands en masse. But then, in the next breath, we heard that the country would be tightening its current restrictions and not opening borders to commercial air traffic through at least the end of the year. While we respect the government's aim to protect Cayman's people, and we certainly wish everyone impacted by these recent cases a speedy recovery, government's leaders appear to be contradicting themselves. While the fear in the community is understandable, it is not necessarily rational or proportionate to the threat now posed by the coronavirus. No doubt the inboxes and WhatsApp feeds of the island's leaders are filled with emotional pleas for extreme action, and that more than anything is what has driven the damaging decision to delay the border reopening. The reality is that these incidences of community transmission were an entirely expected eventuality that we as a community have been preparing for the best part of the year. I'd say should have been then, I guess, because it seems like we were on two different sides here. 14th of October was penciled in as a substantive reopening date, and nothing that has happened in the past week really altered the case for sticking to that timeline. The tourism industry and those that rely on it for their livelihoods have waited long enough. COVID, unfortunately, is here to stay, and the risk in January will be no different than it is today. We are as ready as we will ever be. Government, with the help of the UK, has provided a means to reduce the risk of death from COVID-19 for Cayman Islands residents to almost zero. Those who have resisted encouragement to get vaccinated have put great store in the principle of personal freedom of choice. The data and the relative risk have been well articulated. At this point, anyone who chooses to remain unvaccinated is choosing a higher level of risk. Perhaps that's their prerogative. It would be sad and tragic if Cayman were to open its borders and we were hit with a dozen or so deaths from COVID among the unvaccinated, something other small island territories have experienced. But the elevated risk is something that many of us who insist they will not get the jab say they are prepared to take. All right, so basically the editorials are saying what is happening, open the borders, what's going on. What are your thoughts? 9433700. I know no one wants to give their opinion. They don't want, no, people gonna know it's me. I'm not calling in, but then you'll talk on the streets about it. Come on. Let your voices be heard. Okay, so what are the people saying though? I'm seeing people are saying things. I'm going to go ahead and read some of these comments. Border reopening on hold as local COVID cases rise. Most of you seem to be from the hospitality industry, and I feel your pain. But on such a small island, all we need are a few cases of COVID running around to get the whole island infected. And right now, parents, whether they work in the private sector or with government, are concerned mostly about their children. We all understand we cannot remain closed forever, but there is no factor for this type of circumstance. And right now, the government is trying their best to make everyone happy. We all know that that will not happen as well. So try to bear with the Cayman Islands government until a reasonable decision can be reached. So there you go. That was an opinion of someone. I'm going to call that, just say that person called in and said, hey, listen, we got it. We understand you want to open the borders, but you know what? The government is trying their best. They're smack dab in the middle trying to figure out how do we, ensure that everybody gets what they want. And it really needs to not be about politics at this point, because when you're working with politics, it needs to be about, making sense, right? Doing the math, looking at the science, looking at the proof, looking at around the world, and being reality based as well. Because if you are thinking about, your voters or, your constituents, you're just going to be like, like a ping pong ball, back and forth, because Joe's going to say he doesn't want it, and Jane's going to say she wants it, and then Mary's going to say she doesn't want it, and then Mike is going to say he wants it, and then you're just going to be there, here you are confused. You got 4 people, you want everybody to vote for you, so you just don't know what to do. So that's the thing. You're going to have to pull up those socks, right? And say, look, I got to do what's best for everyone. And I think that is what the government is saying. That's what we're doing. So what else can we do? We have to trust it, right? Obviously, they're, having, I guess, enough consultants around them, giving them advice about what's the best thing to do. But yeah, we can't be in a frenzy, worrying, oh my goodness, we have to remain this way because this is, this bubble is safe. This bubble is not reality. That's my personal opinion. I'm not going to continue with that because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to facilitate, right, opinions and but Star they have already, they have their disclaimer that the opinions of the host does not reflect them. So they're cool, right? All right, let's see. Another comment, you can't continue to keep the vaccinated population hostage. Continue with the quarantine rules for vaccinated and unvaccinated passengers, but get the borders open. The island needs to move forward and not huddle behind a closed fence, frozen in indecision. The economy and most people's sanity cannot take this much longer. The rest of the world is adapting and moving forward. We need to do the same. COVID is not going away. I don't know. If I could say amen, it might have been there, right? Because, yeah, it's like we're that indecision because, you got Mary saying one thing and Mike saying one thing. And listen, forget about it because you're not going to be able to please everybody. And that saying, you can please some people some of the time. You can't please everybody most of the time. All right. Okay. And I'm not going to read this one. Tyson read that. That's cute. I'm not going to do that. All right. Because it's not about us and them. Like, we need to stop that. We've already established, listen, Caymanian is a very different, description or what you thought Caymanian was than it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. So, we're not going to be talking about that. I don't want that kind of stuff going. All right. Good move. Better late than never. Please reinforce the protocol for quarantine. Now that seems quite a little, across the board. Why has the quarantine, kind of requirements changed? I think that may be a good place to look. If whatever that the period of COVID, somebody, contracting COVID, and how long, the I don't know if it's incubation period or whatever that word is, but whatever word would be the better word to describe that. But I think you know what I mean. But if it's within this time frame, I mean, yeah, that might be a little uncomfortable still, but it seems like it could be the happy medium, right? If we're trying to get in the middle here, to say what's the best thing to do. Because obviously, if someone goes into quarantine for 5 days, for instance, but that yet you're saying within this time frame, and this time frame is way beyond 5 days, you can still have COVID in your system, then that would make no sense, right? I know that's not just me thinking that, right? Okay, so that could be that happy medium, right? And it's very clear that vaccinated people can still catch the virus. Being vaccinated does not protect you from catching the virus. What it does protect you from all that I've read and all that I'm understanding, is that it protects you from the serious, I guess, effect of COVID. So you're protecting yourself from that, okay? But you can still catch it. So even if you are vaccinated and you're coming into the island, and you're getting a 5-day quarantine or even a 7-day quarantine, but yet it can show up in your system within 10 or 14 days. Like, what sense does that make? I don't know. Could just be me, but that's what I'm thinking. All right, so there you go. Another one. Cole, do you agree with the halted border opening? This was going to happen now or later. Unfortunately, a country cannot survive completely locked up. We are humans. We were created by adapting to new challenges. Cayman needs to understand that COVID isn't going to go anywhere. It will be around for years. They will not be able to survive without opening eventually. I love Cayman. Got married here. I want the best for the island and everyone there, but it's the reality that we live in. COVID isn't going anywhere. We need to get used to it and adapt. Yeah, there you go. That's true. I mean, I spoke to a family member today. She's in California. She lives in Georgia. I tell you, I'm living through them now. I'm like, look at you go. Wow. Isn't that something? Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. It is Hot Topic Tuesdays. I am Catherine Tyson, your host. This is Straight Talk, your Drive at 5 show. And, we're just chatting about some stuff. Right now, we're talking about COVID, and the opening of the borders. And there's that whole, keep them closed, open up, what's going on. And yeah, join me 943-3700 when we get back, and let's talk a little bit here flying soul this afternoon, but I shall be back right after these messages. Stay tuned. 3700. More straight talk to come on Star 927. You can now register to receive a securely verified digital copy of your COVID-19 vaccination card with QR code and online code. Sign up is available at all major city locations and at various sites throughout the community. To register, all you need is your photo ID, your date of birth, and a valid email address. Visit hsa.ky and click Sign in to your agent portal for the sign-up schedule and more information. No matter where you are or where you're going, you deserve to be in control of your freedom. Introducing the new Cayman National online banking and mobile app experience. Enjoy quick and safe access with facial recognition and fingerprint login. Transfer funds and pay bills with ease. Sign up for online banking today and download our new mobile app available in the App Store and Google Play Store.
Introducing the Burger King Special. Your signature flavor pattern. Chocolate, salt, bacon, melted cheese, and best of all, a brand new sweet and tangy stacker sauce. Stacking single, double, triple, or quadruple. Discover the PK sauce that's changing the game. Only for limited time at Burger King. Looking to lessen your load? You'll see our Wattler and Hislock fleet on the road everywhere, providing septic pump and hydraulic heat well grip, sheet and auger cast pilot, concrete pumping, and grease trap maintenance. Our Wattler and Hislock experienced and dedicated employees will do what it takes to support you or your business. Over 40 years, we have serviced mainly industrial, commercial, residential, and marine clients. Whether it is a large or small scale project, our 24-hour service staff is on hand to ensure your operation keeps going and any problems turn into quick solutions. Visit us online at equipmentservices.com or call 949-4880.
And welcome back to Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show. Catherine Tyson, your host, and it is Hot Topics Tuesdays. We are talking about the borders opening. Should we not? Lots in the news about it. CETA, obviously. Come on, what are you doing? The government saying, nope, pulling that back a little bit. And so just kind of reading some comments. You guys need to call me to see if this phone is working. I know y'all are calling me, but I'm just not seeing it. The phone must be broken. Come on, 943-3700. Call to say hello to Miss Catherine so I can know that this is working. Okay? You all that are listening, you know who you are. 943-3700. All right, so interesting. Just reading some of the comments that I found online about this and in the newspaper. This one is very interesting. I like this one. You have more people dying from gunshots than you do COVID. Government need to get a grip. I have family living in Cayman. I'm more concerned about the number of dangerous drivers you seem to have on the roads and the rising violent crime. Some things are funny. It's funny. Yeah, okay, yeah. So what do you think, right? So we're obviously kind of right down the middle. I believe that is literally what is happening. Like, we are in a very divided state of being in the world. And this just happens to be one of the examples that, this pandemic has brought, and it's very serious, so, I mean, it is something else. Okay. It's going to come whether we like it or not, whatever it's going to come, whatever it's how, okay. Yeah. Sorry. That's not me. All right. So it's going to come whatever. It's how we deal with it. Hiding under a rock is not the answer. Okay. Did you all get the joke? We're on a rock? Okay. No, it's not. No time for that. Okay. Great. Yeah. So gunshots and bad driving aren't contagious and do not spread exponentially, although and illegal guns and traffic offenses continue to be unlawful. Told you. That's what that person is telling the person there above. The government at this point should require everyone to get tested, or at least one person from every household. Anyone testing positive goes into the quarantine. Okay, yes. You know what I'm glad about? I'm glad that not all of these kind of comments or advice people will take, because sometimes you'd be like, huh? Right. But one of the suggestions that I have been hearing quite a lot about recently is to have the home test, or to have people being able to test themselves for COVID, and it being a little easier to do that. I mean, it's pretty simple. If you want to get a test, you can go to HSA. I went. It was, in and out. It was a breeze. So, and then you have to worry about the home, because I think about the home test, and I think, so how are we going to make sure we keep the integrity? I don't know. Maybe you guys know the answers for that. You're not calling to let me know what. That's interesting. So there's always that. But we should just do it at home. Next thing you know, they're not like true positives or true negatives. And yeah, all right. All of these comments about we're living with COVID have not realized that your countries have lost hundreds of thousands of citizens in the process. We have around 70,000 citizens and have not gone through the numerous outbreaks and lockdowns you have. Give our government the opportunity to make the right choices for its people. That's right. Just raise that fist right there, and there you go, right? And it is sad and it's frustrating, especially having come this far so well. And for that, I'm very grateful. But the reality is, COVID isn't going away. And we're now only beginning to experience a taste of what most of the world be, has been ravaged by. If only there were no COVID, but there is. Sadly, we can't hide away forever, and there's a bitter pill to be swallowed. Leaving off taking the pill doesn't move the situation forward, and standing still means we're actually going backwards on an island whose economy is driven by people coming here, investing here, availing themselves of what we have to offer to mutually benefit. Stalling and going backwards gives us a double whammy of COVID plus self inflicted economic disaster. Hard as it will be, we have to re engage with the rest of the world and them, us, sooner rather than later. Now, that was a great comment. Absolutely agree with that. And I tell you, one thing I think that I'm gonna feel very sure about is that our premier is a businessman, right? He's a business owner. He has been a business owner, a very successful one. I don't think that he's not thinking about it. So I think right now we're just at a pause, and that's just me being fair. That's not me saying that I'm on this side or I'm on that side or I'm against any party or with any party. That's me because I try to be as neutral as I can be. Like seriously, like I don't like nobody. No, I like everybody. Either way, I like everybody or I don't like nobody. That's the point. But I believe that we can safely feel assured that our premier is a businessman. And he's paused right now because it's really about making the right decision. So I think, the quarantine timing and stuff like that, those are probably issues that we need to consider because, it's not that this is going to be it. So on Cayman News Service, I read where he's saying people need time to adjust. Okay, so Premier Wayne Panton has said that the community needs time to adjust to the idea of living with COVID-19 after many people reacted with shock and fear when Cayman's coronavirus free bubble burst some 12 or so days ago. He said the pause in reopening would allow the government time to build up public confidence that the country can manage the return of the virus and not see any significant surges or high levels of sickness. Okay, so as I said, right, as I feel, it is really about, okay, hang on a second. Everybody is running, right? It's a frenzy. So everybody, because let me tell you, we live in a bubble. I can't even explain how much of a bubble we live in because in no other country can we go to our premier's door and knock on it. I'm not joking. There in no other country that we can WhatsApp this man, these people. We can find them like face to face, and we can lay wait them. Is that word lay wait? I think that's right. No, I'm telling you, you can't. Your congressman or even your mayor. I mean, it's as small as an alderman in the state. Like they have all county commissioners, all kinds of different titles. You don't see these people regular, but us, we have the luxury of it, and we have gotten lost in this luxury. So you can just believe how many people have been blowing up the phones of all of our, our government, right? Our leaders, especially our premier. So I think he has had to stop and say, hang on, okay, Mike want this, Mary want that, Joe want this, Jane want that. Like seriously. So let's give him a minute. So let me continue with this reading because this is it right here. While government leaders have often said that the phased reopening would see COVID return, it still came as a surprise, coming sooner than expected. Speaking at Friday's press briefing, Panton said the resulting pause is not indefinite and the border could still reopen before the end of the year. But whatever day is set, the country needs to be in the best possible place regarding the vaccine, and public must be comfortable with the virus being among us. All right, so in other words, you got a second to adjust to it, but you need to stop lay waiting people. In other words, stop blowing up people's phone, being unrealistic. I think that's really what's being said here. That's all I'm saying. I'm just giving you a little tip. The reaction by some of the return but the reaction by some to the return of COVID and the response by others to the decision to delay reopening is polarizing the country. You heard? Okay, listen up, right? But the premier is seeking to use this outbreak and pause to the border reopening plan to build up the confidence that is clearly missing after Cayman has lived for more than a year with no local transmission, a rare situation around the world. All right, that's CNS. This pause gives us an opportunity to strengthen, this is from our premier, this pause gives us an opportunity to strengthen some of our controls so that we reduce the likelihood of a surge of COVID-19 cases that puts lives and all commerce at risk, Panton said on Friday, adding that this would give government a better sense of the way forward and the people time to come to grips with the virus return. Like, in other words, the door is going to open, but since opening the door has terrified you, I'm going to stop for a second, rub you on your arm and say, hey, I'm going to open this door. Okay, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. I'm going to open it slowly. I'm not going to frighten you with it, but the door is going to be open. Because apparently saying it was going to be open was not enough for people to prepare. Come on, people, we are grown-ups. We are not children. Let me tell you. Let me now start with that. He said the government also wants to test the resilience of institutions, which makes sense, right, to the current outbreaks and to focus on containing and managing it and seeing how it affects local children. So a couple of things. One is, let's see if the hospitals, let's see if our medical facilities can handle this thing, or if we're going to be overwhelmed, and then what we're going to do, because we're here on 22-mile island, right? Makes sense. And let's see how it's really affecting the children. So, okay, we got say we got 17 children that were infected with COVID. How are they doing? How did they do? Okay, that's an indication of how they're going to do if they get COVID. In other words, we're accepting that we're most probably going to be living with COVID like the rest of the world. And so you see, this is what happened. Cool? Okay. So there you go. So we just need to start getting our mind in gear here. Panton was clear on Friday that government will not lift any quarantine restrictions as previously planned on 14th of October. This could happen sooner than the end of the year, but a date was difficult to pin down until the impact of the current outbreaks have time to play out. Premier said, we are looking to pause for as much as to the end of the year, but we have to have the flexibility. He said, explaining that it depends on how confident we can be about lifting quarantine because everyone now accepts we must reopen. I don't know if everyone accepts that yet on the Honorable Premier, but they should be accepting it. I think that, I'd probably, inject that little word there, should. They have to accept that we will reopen. We must, the word is must, as he said it, must reopen. We're looking to pause. Okay, I said that. The Premier said he was reassured that most people who have become positive from community transmission remain asymptomatic or are suffering only mild symptoms. Okay, so there you have it again. But he said he was aware that the reaction to the outbreak was driven by emotion. All right, so I want people to hear this, get that, right? Asymptomatic, suffering only mild symptoms, but the reaction has been the problem. The reaction has been very emotional. It was driven by emotion, which is why he believes the country needs a little more time to adapt, to get used to the idea of living with the virus before the government moves to phase 4 of the reopening plan. Okay, so it's like, when you're opening your door, when you go out there. I don't know about you. I live in the eastern districts, right? The mosquitoes, let me tell you, you walk out there and there's 5 of them in one spot on your arm or on your leg. But you got to go to your car. So you prepare yourself. All right, I'm going. So that means I might have to run a little faster, or I might have to, take a towel and knock them off me. But the point is, I'm not going to stay in my house because there are mosquitoes outside that are, swarming me. I've never seen it, and it's been in the news. So this is not my imagination. All right, you guys know what I'm talking about. They are vicious. It's like a choir in your ear, like seriously. And I don't like the song. But I'm not going to not go to my car. So this is exactly what he's saying, right? Like we're going to reopen. And so this emotional reaction is what has driven him to say, okay, so it seems like the people really weren't ready for this. So let's work with them a little bit. Like, I'm going to open that door. Okay. All right. I'm going to count to 10. Okay. 5, 6. But I'm opening the door. All right. He said he was aware that we need time for society to adjust and to make sure we understand what was involved with this current outbreak. We still don't know how it happened and no evidence. It happened because of a traveler. So we're all still looking around for the possible sources of this, sources of that. We have been in this cocoon for 18 months, and you know what a cocoon is, right? And you know what happens to a cocoon. It doesn't remain forever. What comes out of it, a beautiful butterfly, but a cocoon is not the final, it's not the final result. He noted, adding that coming out of it has created a level of shock that government could not ignore. In other words, people lay waiting me and to stop. That's all I have to say. Stop it. And understand that in the larger world, you cannot lay wait your leader. You just can't. Gosh, we have gotten so used to so. Oh no. Anyway. Oh dear. Patton explained that before we relax controls further, government wanted to see how the vaccines, public health experiences, the strategic planning, continuity of operations, school bubbles, and people in general react and work together to prevent a surge of cases. We all have known that COVID-19 would reach our shores and enter our community. We all knew, both those who believe we need to open the border and learn to live with COVID, and those who believe otherwise. He said, adding that with the virus already here, the government has no intention of implementing a mandated lockdown. Thank you, but was keen to have an organized, managed response. All right, great. I'm happy about that, because I have being on this island is a lockdown sometimes in and of itself. I believe we can get through this if we all do what we are supposed to do. He said, as he outlined the well-worn COVID protocols of masks, distance, sanitizer, plus the vaccine. This pandemic requires us to balance the economy and the society, and we are, as far as possible, putting our people first in these circumstances. He said PACT was in unanimous agreement about the values that will guide the decision-making, that there was no playbook for COVID-19. We need to stick together as a community and adapt as circumstances change. Opening was always going to see the virus return, but combing our collective efforts, we can get through this and open the borders without going back to lockdown. He warned it will always be impossible to eliminate the risk, but the aim was to manage the risk in the community with confidence, which I would imagine the rest of the world is doing as we look around. Now, there you go. So one side is saying, what are you doing? But that's the explanation. I'm all right with the explanation, to tell you the truth. I really am. I am. Now, I think what was so funny is that, so the opposition is basically saying, listen, the opposition is saying, why don't you, let us help you. Let us help you with that. I had that somewhere. Opposition continues calls for cooperation despite chilly response. I'm trying not to laugh. Cayman's opposition legislators have renewed their offer to assist Premier Wayne Panton. They've renewed the offer. Premier Wayne Panton and his administration as the jurisdiction navigates the reemergence of COVID-19 on its shores. This after Panton shut down their initial offer this week. Opposition leader Roy McTaggart and his deputy Joey Hughes urged the premier to reconsider his position on the issue. It was on another radio station. We want to be positive. We want to be helpful. We want to assist the government. Some issues should not be political. Right. Okay, cool. So what I thought was interesting is the response. And the response I'm gonna have to share with you too, because hey, Star, this is my opinion, it's not Stars. But but we're, I am the person that constantly is talking about why don't y'all work together? I have been saying this probably for the last 20 years of my life, that I have even looked at the political arena and have said, we're so small, we can manage something, we can combat some things, we can actually win some of the issues that we have. Why don't you all work together? Okay, I get it. You're campaigning differently. Okay, so you're on that side, you're on that. This is your party, that's your party. No problem. But when you all get in, all 19, if you guys remember me ever saying this, please just do a honk honk, whatever, because I've always said it. Work. Can we all just get along, right? Work together, because when we vote you in, 19 of you are the leaders. You are who we expect to make the decisions about us, about our lives, about everything. So now we have one side saying, listen, it's not political. Can we work together? But what the response is, listen, y'all weren't trying to get us to work with you. So stop it. Premier Wayne Panton has said the opposition has no unique special skill or strategy to offer the government on reopening, given that the current administration is dealing with a different set of circumstances to the previous government, who managed lockdown, not opening the borders. The opposition leader and his deputy have said they want in on the decision-making process surrounding the management of the COVID-19 pandemic now the virus has been spreading in the community. It's okay. Roy McTaggart wrote to Panton last week with an offer to help. The premier declined for a number of reasons, including the fact that his government is taking advice from the same people who gave it to the PPM-led government, and because the situation now is very different. I am not aware of any instances where they brought any new perspective or any incredibly successful strategy to the table which wasn't considered or advised by the program board. Their experience has been around lockdown and an elimination strategy, and they did that, he said at Friday's press briefing, as he gave them credit for that success. Where any government would be in terms of reopening strategy is necessarily going to require a different approach. This is about learning how to safely live with this, how to manage the risks, how to keep people safe, how to keep our children as safe as possible, and how to build confidence around that. I don't really see them having that type of skill or experience that is going to be useful. He added that PACT was fine relying on the advisory teams from the public health and the program board, as this was a new regime and required new ways of addressing this problem. In the letter to the Premier, Panton, McTaggart said PACT should establish a council made up of the opposition as well as government. But the Premier pointed out that the previous administration had had the opportunity to do that and probably had more reason to do so when it was in office managing the lockdown. Yeah, that's true. However, he said they had chosen not to do it, and he did not feel one was required now. It makes no sense for us to rely on people who have experience with the past, Panton added. Okay, yes, that's interesting. You said their voice should be heard, and the government should at least listen to the advice they have to offer. The two men said the health and safety of the country should not be political, and at a minimum, they should be given updates. But he said the opposition would love to be in the room so they can have a better understanding of what government is thinking. All right, at the end of the day, I guess it's just because somebody didn't do something don't mean you need to be doing it. But you know what I'm thinking, and it's just in my head, that um, it, politics or politics could possibly be at play here in some ways, and that's probably what our premier is very aware of. And I'm only saying it just completely neutral, being fair, because the premier used to be PPM. So he'd know. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. He would know. He's been a part of that group. He was one of the founding members. So if he's not thinking that what you guys are saying is, come on, just let us help. Let us all just get along and help now. And he used to be with you. So we're just on the sidelines watching. And here's what we're doing as the public. We just want you all to do what's right and what's best for all of us. Okay? And we want the ones who want to stay in the bubble to be a little more realistic. We want the ones who want the doors to fly wide open for all the mosquitoes to come in and eat us alive to just calm down for a minute. Everybody just calm down. That's what I think. Just calm down. There's a happy medium somewhere. And that's what we need to be working towards getting. Yeah? All right. What's happening with the flights? I'm going to add to that now. From the 9th of September, when phase 3 of the reopening plan launched, ironically on the same day that the first suspected local case was reported, commercial airlines were technically allowed to reintroduce routes to Cayman. However, with quarantine for vaccinated travelers still in place at that time, most airlines opted not to do it. 5 airlines have indicated in talks with Tourism Minister Kenneth Bryan that they were intending to resume Cayman flights in October when quarantine restrictions were due to be lifted for certain vaccinated arrivals. Now, with the government suspending the border reopening plans for the rest of 2021, that is unlikely to happen. All right, so discussions were ongoing with various airlines. They'd want to come back to the islands if and when quarantine requirements are lifted. The top priority, obviously, is our safety. And so working to get things under control and getting the confidence of the people that you're ready to do this in January, then, Minister Bryan is saying, well, he's sure the airlines would be happy and excited to do it in January. So it's just giving them some reassurance or something. British Airways, which has been operating repatriation flights between here and London's Heathrow Airport on a weekly or bi-weekly schedule since last year, will resume commercial flights from 27th of September. The officials have announced that. The Ministry of Tourism issued a statement, confirmed that BA commercial flights would operate weekly between Grand Cayman and London and would run a variable schedule 3 times per week based on a seasonal timetable and travel demand. All right, the airline will resume its route from Cayman to the UK via Nassau, Bahamas, from the week beginning the 27th of September. Okay, Cayman Airways, British Airways and Cayman Airways were the only 2 airlines allowed to operate regular repatriation flights to and from Cayman, and both airlines are continuing to operate flights. This month, Cayman Airways is operating flights to and from Miami, Kingston, and La Ceiba. Prior to the announcement that the border reopening plans were being halted, officials had said that the government had approved a new schedule for the airline, which included a steady increase in the number of flights per week during September and October. The airline on its website notes that its normal flight schedule is always available up to a year out. However, due to the rolling border closure in relation to the COVID pandemic, such flights may not be permitted. All right, Cayman Airways noted that passengers holding seats on normal flights who are affected by flight cancellations will be contacted by Cayman Airways and given priority to obtain seats on the repatriation approved commercial flights, but pointed out that schedules and airfares may vary significantly. All right, so there you go. Should we open? We will. We're going to. You got reassurance. I hope you did today. If you haven't gotten before, wear your masks. Stay safe. Calm down. It's going to be all right. Look at the rest of the world. Stop being frightened. Stop being anxious. Stop getting yourself in a frenzy, because that is not going to be good for your health. Get some vitamin D. Get out in the sun. Take a walk. Go walk for lunch these days, okay? We need it. All right? Take some vitamin C. Eat some fruit. Eat some vegetables. Take care of yourself. All right? We're going to be all right. We really are. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. This has been your Straight Talk Drive at 5 show. It has been Hot Topics Tuesday. I was flying solo. I know the phones are broken, but we're going to get them fixed so that you can call in and I can talk to you. You guys have a lovely evening. Take care of yourself and take care of those people that love you and that you love. I'll talk with you tomorrow. It will be Wellness Wednesdays on Straight Talk Drive to 5. I'm Catherine Tyson, your host, saying have a great, great, great evening.